my face the first time I saw Mordekaiser's interactions. Hello everyone and welcome to another video where we have a look at interactions, because I know that a lot of you are interested in them. I normally cover interactions only when special things are happening, and many of you may not think that Mordekaiser is special when it comes to his interactions, but if you follow me on my Twitter, which you totally should, you will know that I really like Mordekaiser's interactions, and that is for one simple reason. As you'll see from this video, Mordekaiser doesn't really reveal anything that we wouldn't already know, at least not after we have read his bio. But Mordekaiser does one special thing. When you play against Mordekaiser in-game, his interactions with other champions do tell you the story of those champions or Mordekaiser. So this is the first time the interactions are not just clever hints at different bits of the lore. This time around, the interactions are the lore. And that has never happened before. Usually Riot just likes to hint at different champions meeting each other on the battlefield. Sometimes they may talk about their past. For example, Aatrox is usually really mad. But they never retell the stories and they never talk about what actually happened. This time around, Mordekaiser does that. And it is awesome because even people who have not read the lore will learn about Mordekaiser by simply playing the game. They will learn his story over time. But enough introduction, let's have a look at the interaction so you guys know what I'm even talking about. I didn't even start the video and I noticed, and I think this is Skin Spotlight's doing it unless something is really screwy. Is there a trash can on the screen? That... Oh, and it has pizza feet. Those are definitely pizza feet. Anyway, all hail Skin Spotlights, because without their videos we would not be doing this. So I would tell you to subscribe to them, but you probably already are. So let's just go into it.
False kings cower beneath false crowns.
See, for example, this interaction, nothing really significant, it doesn't really tell us anything new, but it kinda sets the idea that Mordekaiser is the real king. And as we'll go through the interactions, I will try to tell you the TLDR version of Mordekaiser's bio, but I will not go into detail, because we will do a video on it later, so it wouldn't make sense. But Mordekaiser's story is a little bit different. It is way more metal, it is way cooler, but it is different.
A true lord takes what he will.
That's an awesome setup for who he actually is. We will do a little bit of a TLDR version as we go through these.
You claim strength, Darius. Prove it.
So, Mordekaiser, the way that has not changed is that Mordekaiser is still technically from Noxus, right? He was from Noxus before it was even called Noxus. Mordekaiser is still the guy who constructed the Immortal Bastion, so he is the pinnacle of that entire region. Or he is the foundation, is what I should say. So, when he's talking to Darius, he's talking to someone who is in his own empire after the empire went weak. So, this is directly mocking Darius, because Mordekaiser was where Darius is now, but he was just way better, way stronger. He conquered the world. So this is an awesome taunt at someone who is now in his stolen empire.
Pathetic glory seeker.
Same goes for Draven. Mordekaiser, maybe it's not the right time now to do the TLDR version. You'll see what I mean later, but Mordekaiser is still the conqueror of the world, and although you could say that Mordekaiser was doing his conquest for glory as well, he had different motivations, as you'll see.
Death has no meaning, Karthus. All that matters is one's purpose beyond it.
And here is where we need to talk about Mordekaiser's bio. So, of course, we may know that Karthus is also from Noxus. Karthus was a small boy who was always fascinated by death, and he learned about the Shadow Isles, and he traveled to Shadow Isles to kinda learn about death, and he also kinda was consumed by it. But the story of Mordekaiser starts with someone who is not called Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser was always a warlord, but Mordekaiser was actually called Sun Uzal. I know, that name is pretty metal. But Sun Uzal followed a Viking-like religion. He believed that the more he conquered and the more he had slain, the more he would appeal to the gods. And eventually, after he would die, he would go to the Hall of Bones, where he would feast with the gods themselves. But the thing is that after he died, he found nothing. There were no gods, there was no feast, there was nothing. All there was were other ghosts roaming around. At this point, Sun Uzal began to question his religion. And while other ghosts would fade into nothingness over time, Sun Uzal remained. At that point, his will was tempered by anger and torment, and he simply refused to fade away. On top of that, there were always these whispers in the air, and he could never understand what those whispers said. But the more time he spent in that realm of death, the more he began to understand. And he learned that the language the whispers spoke was Oknun. I know, a pretty metal name. By the way, Mordekaiser is Sun Uzal translated in Oknun, and Oknun is the language of the dead. So what Sun Uzal did is that he joined the whispers. He also started whispering in hopes that someone from the realms beyond would hear him. And eventually they did, and a group of mages did summon the legendary Sun Uzal back into the world. That is the TLDR version. What is important here is that Mordekaiser really is the master of death. He traveled to the realms beyond and he came back. And if you are now questioning what are his connections to the Shadow Isles, he doesn't really have any. To Mordekaiser, the Shadow Isles are just a toy. The Shadow Isles are just a mockery of the realm of the dead. Mordekaiser knows what death really looks like. But enough about that, we'll go into more detail in the following video. Now, let's continue with the interactions.
Flimsy blades and fancy footwork won't save you, Katarina.
Again, there will be a lot of connections to Noxians, simply not because he would actually meet them in the story, but those are because they live in his empire. Mordekaiser did bring up the Immortal Bastion and they are just now living in his land, so these interactions don't have any significance, but he is mentioning other champions who are in a way connected to what he created.
Ah, the Black Rose. I remember your petty manipulations.
Something I did not mention is that Mordekaiser, after he was brought back, because he actually created the Immortal Bastion after he was brought back, right? So he died, there was nothing, he was brought back by the mages, and then as an undead Lord of Death, he created the Immortal Bastion. But he died because he was betrayed, and we gotta know that it was because he was betrayed by LeBlanc. However, Mordekaiser knew he was being betrayed, and he let them betray him. Again, I don't want to spoil the entire story, there is a really cool twist, so we will go into that in the next video.
Noxians claim strength. Pathetic.
Again, just a mention of an Noxian.
You too shall serve me, spirit.
Just a mention of a Shadow Isles champion, that's fine.
The same magic that chains you to this realm frees me to walk between.
That's what I'm talking about. The Shadow Isles are nothing compared to the realm of the dead where Mordekaiser was. That's what I'm talking about. Mordekaiser is way beyond anyone else. And even though you can see Mordekaiser kinda bound to his metal armor, because he does not have a physical form, he is a spirit that is bound to the armor, if he was truly ever released, he would conquer the world. So now in the story, Mordekaiser is still technically banished. He's banished away, but should he ever arrive on Runeterra, the world is screwed. Again, in the next video.
Clutch your borrowed power, Grand General.
Again, a really awesome mention of a leader talking to the new leader of the Immortal Bastion.
Your soul is already mine.
That's just a taunt, but the important thing is that he borrowed the power, because we know that Swain outsmarted some kind of a demon, but the story never really said what he did, so yeah, that's a little bit of a plot hole, but that's fine. Next one.
Ah, Vhagar. Such exquisite torment I gifted you.
This of course, is a reference to Vygar's new lore. If you have not read that story, or if you have not seen it, we do have a video on it. Vygar was pretty much tortured by Mordekaiser, and that's why Vygar, even though he's a happy little yordle, is really evil. Because he just has a little tortured soul, let's say. Actually, he's just trying to be evil, he's not really evil, but you know what I mean.
Vladimir, you are nothing but a stain, splattered on the pages of history.
This is so cool! That's what I'm talking about! Mordekaiser meets Vladimir on the Summoner's Rift, and instead of having some kind of clever taunt against him, he actually mentions who Vladimir is. Vladimir survived throughout millennia on the Summoner's Rift, and he was there for every important event. So Mordekaiser, in this single line, he's telling us that Vladimir is ancient, and he's been there for pretty much the entire history of modern humanity. This is awesome! We need more of these. We don't need clever interactions. We need champions talking about who they are, so that even people who don't care about the story, they will know. This is genius.
I know your secrets, little ones. Even you cannot escape me.
Again, we know that Yordles have secrets because they have hidden portals in places that mortals can hardly find. Mordekaiser knows, because he's looking for magics. That is probably one of the reasons why he tortured Vygar, is because Mordekaiser wanted to learn about how the Bandle City works, how the portals work, how can he master the magic. This is awesome!
Your false gods cannot save you.
These are just with any. Again, this is an interaction with any champion. Doesn't matter who, but Mordekaiser is still talking about his own story. Mordekaiser, remember, he always followed this Viking-like religion where he was kind of hoping to get into the Valhalla, only here it is not Valhalla, here it is the Halls of Bones. But Mordekaiser is really heavily, he's a heavy believer. Even though not really anymore, because ever since he was in that realm of the dead, he's kind of like, you know, screw gods, they don't exist. But he knows that other people believe in other gods. He says that in this line. This is amazing. And by the way, I do love his voice. Some people don't really like his voice. He does sound a little bit like Nautilus, but I really like it.
You were correct to fear.
Because it fits his character.
Harvest the worthy. Discard
really-
the chaff.
This is a little bit of a mistake. Again, no spoilers for the story, because this is an important detail. But no matter who Mordekaiser kills, he sees value in every soul. He never discards the weak, because he knows he can use the weak for something special. Again, you'll learn what exactly, but this is a legitimate mistake. This is out of character. We've made a video recently about characters being out of character. This is out of character. Mordekaiser would never discard a soul. He has a use for all of them.
Iron shatters stone.
Unless it's Petricite.
My will is once again bound to iron.
This is again a reference to his story, because as I said, he is a spirit that is bound to armor. Now, in the new lore, something that I said when we were talking about Mordekaiser in the Rift News episode, I mentioned that Mordekaiser's armor is now the same armor that he was wearing when he was alive, only that his armor was blackened because they burned his corpse. We don't have information on that anymore. We don't know how exactly he died and what people did after he died, but when he was resurrected, the mages did craft him armor that looked very similar to what he was wearing before, because they wanted to honor him. So the armor that he's wearing right now is very, very close to what he had. So this armor is pretty much still the original armor that the warlords and, well, especially Mordekaiser wore in the times when he created the Immortal Bastion. Actually, even before that.
The world has tried to forget my existence. Time to remind them why they fear.
Again, a reference to his story where he dies and he is resummoned back.
I have bent the of the dead to my will. This world shall be next.
Again, he went through Realm of the Dead, and there, because he endured through everything the Realm of the Dead kinda had for him, which was really nothing, he endured the nothing, but he conquered it, he got through it, and he returned. This, again, just tell us who Mordekaiser is. It is so good. So good.
In the world beyond, blackened ichor filled a crumbling sky, as souls withered to nothing. But I refuse to fade.
This is so brilliant. The reason why this is brilliant, because not only does he talk about what he saw there in the realm of the dead, but he also said that souls withered to nothing. This is a direct line from the story. But then he says that he refused to fade, which is also a line directly taken from the story. Mordekaiser's interactions tell you the story even if you don't read it, and it is awesome.
I carved my kingdom beyond, from the ashes of nothing. No mortals, not even gods, will stop me from claiming what is mine.
First of all, ashes of nothing, I'm not sure about that. You already created a kingdom before, so not really nothing. You can carve your kingdoms from what you already created. But more importantly, no mortals, not even gods. See? Because Mordekaiser was on the other side and he saw no gods there, I don't think that he would not believe in them anymore. But I do think that maybe he thinks that the gods don't have as much value as he thought they would have.
Naive men pray to the gods. They will learn to pray to me.
Again, gods don't give a crap about you, even though they kinda do if you talk about the Celestials, but the mortals don't know. So again, Mordekaiser knows that the gods don't give a damn. How many times should I tell you? It is awesome. But that was the last one. See, I just wanna ask, right, please give us more interactions like these. We don't necessarily need clever interactions that would kinda reference what would happen later or things that we don't know. What is more valuable is when you go into Summoner's Rift, you play the game, and from the interactions between the champions, you learn who the champions are. You learn what they are doing, why they are doing stuff, and you learn about their characters. We have so many characters that are not acting as themselves. We've made a video about that. But we just need more interactions like Mordekaiser. I'm gonna end this video here. Riot, please, we need more of these. Even though some people don't like the voice, if you don't, I've heard that the actor of Hulk himself voice acted Mordekaiser. I'm not sure if that's the truth. If it is, that's awesome as well. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. And I will now summon our outro. Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other League facts and stories? And did you know that we have neat mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.